The silent return Captain Zaylen Korth had served the Galactic Concordat for 32 cycles, and in all that time, nothing had ever disrupted the perfect order of his patrols. The outer rim was a graveyard of dead stars and forgotten debris, a place where ambition went to die. His vessel, the Crimson Vigil, drifted through the darkness with the same monotonous rhythm it had maintained for years. Zalin was Drexian, a species known for their six-fingered hands, silver skin that shimmered under artificial light, and a reputation for unwavering loyalty to duty. His second officer, Lieutenant Mara, broke the silence that had stretched for hours. Her voice carried an edge of confusion that immediately caught Zaylen's attention. Captain, sensors are detecting an anomaly. Something is emerging from the void. Zaylen's three eyes narrowed. The void was the name given to the space between galaxies, an emptiness so absolute that even light struggled to cross it. No ship had ever returned from the void. Those who tried simply vanished, swallowed by the crushing nothingness. Clarify, Lieutenant. What kind of anomaly? Mara's fingers danced across her console, her confusion deepening with each passing moment. A vessel, Captain. It is materializing from the void boundary. The design does not match any current database entry. She paused, her skin paling to almost white. Captain, the computer has found a match in the historical archives. The design is human. The bridge fell silent. Every member of Zaylen's crew knew the stories. Humanity had been one of the Concordat's founding species 50,000 years ago. They had been explorers, innovators, and traders who brought vitality to the young galactic civilization. Then, without warning or explanation, they had vanished. Every human world went dark. Every human ship disappeared. The Concordat's official record stated that humanity had succumbed to a self-inflicted plague, a consequence of their reckless genetic experimentation. It was a cautionary tale taught to every species in the Concordat. But here was a human ship, emerging from impossible darkness after 50 millennia. Battle readiness, Zaylen ordered, his voice steady despite the ice forming in his chest. Raise shields. Charge all weapon systems. Send an immediate priority alert to Concordat High Command. The Crimson Vigil hummed with sudden energy as systems activated. Two other patrol vessels in the sector moved into flanking positions, forming a defensive triangle around the mysterious arrival. They waited, weapons locked, shields at maximum. The human vessel hung motionless in space like a ghost from history. It was enormous, easily 3 times the size of Zaylen's ship, with a design that looked both ancient and strangely advanced. The hull was pristine, unmarked by time or damage. Full spectrum scan, Zaylen commanded. I want to know everything about that ship. Mara worked in silence for several minutes before responding. Captain, the vessel appears completely dormant. No power signatures, no life signs, no active systems. It is as if the ship is dead, yet it shows no signs of decay or damage. Zaylen studied the image on his main display. Something about the vessel disturbed him in ways he could not articulate. Deploy a reconnaissance probe. I want visual confirmation of the ship's condition. A small probe launched from the Crimson Vigil and approached the human vessel cautiously. The images it transmitted showed corridors and chambers that looked ready for immediate use. Everything was clean, organized, and functional, but there were no bodies, no signs of struggle, no indication of what had happened to the crew. Prepare a boarding team, Zaylen decided. Full combat armor, biohazard protocols, and constant communication. If contact is lost for more than 60 seconds, I want that team extracted immediately. 30 minutes later, a shuttle carrying 8 heavily armed soldiers approached the human vessel. They found an airlock that, surprisingly, responded to their presence. The manual override still functioned after 50,000 years. The team entered slowly, weapons raised, sensors sweeping every corner. The interior was unsettling in its normalcy. Corridors stretched in geometric patterns that suggested both purpose and artistry. Equipment lined the walls, recognizable in function but alien in design. The boarding team split into pairs, each group taking a different route through the ship. Their helmet cameras transmitted everything back to Zaylen. One team reached what appeared to be the ship's command center. Another found living quarters that looked recently vacated. A third team discovered something that made Zaylen's blood run cold. They had entered a large chamber filled with data storage units, thousands of them, all connected to a central console that pulsed with faint blue light. Captain, the team leader reported, we have found active data cores. Some kind of message has been left here. It is labeled in modern galactic standard. Can you access it? Zaylen asked. Already done, sir. Transmitting now. The message appeared on Zalen's display, and he read it 3 times, each reading filling him with greater dread. To whoever finds this vessel, know this truth. We did not die. We did not destroy ourselves. We were taken. The Concordat that you serve, that you trust to bring order and peace to the galaxy, is built on a foundation of lies. 50,000 years ago, humanity discovered something the Concordat's true masters could not allow us to know. We learned what happens to species that grow too powerful, too independent, too curious. We learned about the culling. We learned about the farms. When we tried to warn others, we were silenced. Our entire species was seized, scattered, and imprisoned in the dark places beyond your sight. For 50 millennia we have endured. We have survived in conditions designed to break us. We have watched as other species suffered the same fate. We have grown stronger. We have prepared. Now we return. If you seek truth over comfortable lies, follow these coordinates. Come to the place the Concordat forbids. See with your own eyes what they have hidden. Decide for yourself if the order you protect is worth the price it demands. The choice is yours. Make it wisely. Signed, the Terran Remnant. Below the message was a set of coordinates pointing to a region of space marked as forbidden by Concordat decree. The sector was listed as unstable, filled with lethal radiation and spatial anomalies. No ship was permitted to enter under penalty of immediate destruction. Zalen sat in his command chair, mind racing. The message was either the ravings of a long-dead species or the most dangerous truth ever spoken in the galaxy. Every instinct told him to ignore it, to follow protocol, to trust the system that had guided civilization for 50,000 years. Then his communications officer interrupted his thoughts. Captain, Concordat High Command is responding to our alert. They are ordering immediate destruction of the human vessel. No boarding, no investigation, no salvage. Complete annihilation. Zalen's skin went cold. That was not standard procedure. Unknown vessels were supposed to be studied, catalogued, and analyzed. Destruction was reserved for active threats or plague ships. The speed of the order and its severity told him something he had not wanted to know. The message might be true. Did they provide justification? Zalen asked quietly. Negative, Captain. Only the destruction order. Zalen looked at the coordinates displayed on his screen. The forbidden sector. What could be so dangerous that the Concordat would forbid all access? What could be so terrible that they would destroy evidence without investigation? He made a decision that would alter the course of his life and perhaps the fate of the galaxy itself. Recall the boarding team, he said. Plot a course to these coordinates. Maximum stealth protocols. Inform no one outside this ship. The bridge crew stared at him in shock. Disobeying a direct order from Concordat High Command was treason. The punishment was death, not just for the captain, but often for the entire crew. Captain, Mara began, her voice trembling. That is a direct violation of orders. They will execute us, I know, Zalen replied. But if there is even the smallest possibility that message is true, we have a duty to investigate. We swore an oath to protect the Concordat and its citizens. How can we protect them if we do not know the truth? He looked at each member of his bridge crew in turn. I will not order you to follow me into treason. Any crew member who wishes to remain behind will be transferred to one of the other patrol ships, with a full explanation that I acted alone. No shame will attach to you. Silence stretched for a long moment. Then Mara straightened in her chair. I have served with you for 12 cycles, Captain. If you believe this is worth investigating, then I trust your judgment. One by one, the other bridge officers voiced their agreement. Zalen felt a surge of gratitude and fear in equal measure. They were trusting him with their lives based on nothing more than a message from a species that had been dead for 50,000 years. The Crimson. Vigil turned away from the human ghost ship and activated its stealth systems. The vessel slipped into the faster-than-light corridor, heading toward the forbidden sector. Behind them, the ancient human vessel remained floating in space, its message waiting for others to discover. In the deep darkness of the forbidden sector, something stirred. Sensors that had lain dormant for millennia activated. Alerts spread through networks that existed outside normal space. Humanity had indeed survived their imprisonment. They had endured 50,000 years of captivity and emerged stronger, angrier, and infinitely more dangerous than they had been before. The ghost ship was just the first move in a game that had been planned for generations. Humanity was coming home, and they were bringing the truth with them. The Galactic Concordat, built on lies and sustained by atrocities hidden in darkness, would soon face a reckoning it could not escape. Zaylen did not know it yet, but his decision to seek the truth would make him one of the most important figures in galactic history. The war that was coming would reshape civilization itself, and it would begin with one captain who chose to ask questions when everyone else chose to obey. The reckoning begins. The journey to the Forbidden Sector took 3 days. Zaylen kept the Crimson Vigil running on minimal power, using only passive sensors to avoid detection. The crew worked in tense silence, each of them aware that they had crossed a line from which there could be no return. Every hour that passed without a recall order felt like borrowed time. On the 3rd day, they reached the coordinates. What they found defied every expectation Zaylen had prepared himself for. The sector was not unstable. There was no radiation, no spatial anomalies. The official warnings had been complete fabrications. Instead, they found something far more disturbing: a planet, gray and lifeless from orbit, but covered with massive geometric structures that stretched across entire continents. The architecture was unlike anything in concordant design philosophy. It was industrial, brutal, and efficient. Thousands of ships orbited the world, not concordant vessels, but something older, something that predated modern civilization. "Captain," Mara whispered, "I am detecting life signs on the surface, millions of them. Multiple species signatures. Can you identify the species?" Zaylen asked. Mara worked her console, and when she spoke again, her voice shook. "Captain, the computer identifies 17 different species. 8 of them are listed in historical archives as extinct. 3 more are listed as having mysteriously vanished thousands of years ago." Zaylen felt the weight of confirmation settle on his shoulders like a physical burden. The human message had been true. Species were not going extinct. They were being taken, imprisoned, hidden away in places the rest of the galaxy was forbidden to see. "Take us closer," he ordered. "I want detailed scans of those surface structures." The Crimson Vigil descended into high orbit, sensors working at maximum capacity, while stealth systems strained to keep them hidden. What they discovered painted a picture of systematic horror. The surface structures were prison complexes, each one capable of holding millions of beings. Force fields, weapon emplacements, and automated defense systems surrounded every facility. The planet was not a colony. It was a cage. Zaylen was about to order closer investigation when alarms suddenly blared across the bridge. 3 massive vessels had appeared from behind the planet's moon, ships that made the Crimson Vigil look like a child's toy. Their design was ancient beyond measure, covered in symbols and patterns that hurt to look at directly. "Captain, we are being hailed," Mara reported. On screen, the being that appeared on the display was not made of matter in any conventional sense. It seemed to shift between states, sometimes solid, sometimes translucent, geometry that should not exist in 3-dimensional space. When it spoke, its voice resonated inside Zaylen's skull rather than through his ears. "Captain Zaylen Korth of the Drexian species, you have entered a restricted zone. Your vessel will be seized. Your crew will be processed. Resistance is inadvisable. Who are you?" Zaylen demanded, forcing his voice to remain steady. "What is this place?" "We are the Eternal Collective. We are the architects of order. This facility serves the greater purpose of galactic stability. You are not meant to see it. Your curiosity has sealed your fate." "These are prison camps," Zaylen said, anger overcoming fear. "You are holding entire species captive. This is the culling the humans warned about. Culling is an inaccurate term. We prefer regulation. Every 100,000 years, organic species grow too numerous, too advanced, too dangerous. They develop weapons that threaten universal stability. They expand beyond sustainable limits. We maintain balance. We have done so for 3 million years. By enslaving billions, Zaylen felt sick. By making species disappear, by ensuring survival. Those species that serve the Concordat well are preserved. Those that become problematic are relocated to facilities where they can contribute without disruption. It is efficient. It is necessary. Your Concordat leadership understands this. They cooperate because they comprehend the alternative. The revelation hit Zaylen like a physical blow. The Concordat leadership knew. They had always known. The carefully maintained peace, the prosperity, the order that defined galactic civilization. All of it was built on collaboration with these beings, built on the systematic enslavement of species deemed inconvenient. "You are monsters," Zaylen said quietly. "We are architects of civilization." Now power down your vessel and prepare for boarding. Zaylen looked at his crew. They stared back at him with expressions mixing fear and determination. They had come seeking truth and they had found it. Now they faced a choice: surrender and join the countless beings imprisoned below, or fight against impossible odds. Lieutenant Mara, Zaylen said calmly, transmit everything we have seen to every concordate vessel in range. All sensor data, all recordings, everything. Maximum broadcast power. Captain, that will give away our position to every hostile in the sector, Mara protested. I know. Do it anyway. The galaxy needs to know the truth. Mara hesitated for only a moment before her fingers flew across her console. Transmitting now, Captain. The Eternal Collective being on the screen made a sound like grinding stone. You have made a fatal error. That transmission will be intercepted and suppressed. No one will see your evidence. Maybe, Zaylen agreed. But maybe some will get through. Maybe enough officers will ask questions. Maybe enough species will demand answers. You cannot silence everyone. We have silenced civilizations. We will silence you. The three massive vessels opened fire. The Crimson Vigil's shields flared as energy beams struck with devastating force. Alarms screamed. The ship shook violently. Zaylen gripped his command chair as the deck tilted beneath him. Return fire, he ordered. All weapons, continuous barrage. The Crimson Vigil fired everything it had. Missiles, energy weapons, kinetic projectiles, all of it struck the nearest collective vessel. The attack seemed to have no effect. The enemy's shields absorbed the punishment without even flickering. Then something unexpected happened. The surface of the prison planet erupted with light. Thousands of explosions blossomed across the industrial complexes. The force field surrounding the facilities collapsed. From within the prisons, ships began to launch. Old ships, ancient ships, ships that should not have been able to fly but somehow did. Captain, Mara shouted over the alarms, the prisoners are escaping. All of the facilities are under simultaneous assault from within. On the display, Zaylen watched as the imprisoned species fought their way to freedom. They had been waiting, preparing, organizing for this exact moment. The human message had not been a warning. It had been a signal, a call to arms that stretched across hundreds of forbidden worlds. More ships appeared, emerging from faster-than-light travel. Human vessels, hundreds of them, with designs that combined ancient Earth aesthetics with technology that looked impossibly advanced. They fell upon the collective vessels with coordinated precision that spoke of careful planning. A communication channel opened, and a human face appeared on Zaylen's screen. She was old by human standards, with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much suffering, but her expression carried fierce determination. Captain Korth, I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Liberation Fleet. Your transmission reached us. We are grateful for your courage. Disengage from combat and move to these coordinates. We will provide cover. Admiral, there are millions of beings on that planet, Zaylen said urgently. We cannot leave them. We are not leaving anyone, Chen replied. Every facility on this world and 47 others is being liberated simultaneously. This is not a rescue, Captain. This is the beginning of a war that has been 50,000 years in the making. The battle intensified. More collective vessels appeared, but so did more liberation ships. Species that had been thought extinct for millennia joined the fight. Zaylen watched in awe as beings who had been imprisoned for generations fought with desperation and skill against their captors. The Crimson Vigil limped toward the coordinates Chen had provided. Shields failing and hull breached in multiple sections. Around them, the largest prison break in galactic history unfolded. The Eternal Collective was not invincible. They could be hurt. They could be defeated, but Zaylen knew this was only the beginning. The Collective had ruled from the shadows for 3 million years. They had weapons and resources beyond imagination. This first victory would bring retaliation on a scale that could shatter worlds. As the Crimson Vigil docked with a human carrier vessel, Zaylen received a transmission from Concordate High Command. His face appeared on wanted lists across the galaxy. He was declared a traitor, an enemy of civilization, a threat to galactic peace. The bounty on his head was enormous, but other transmissions came too. Officers from dozens of species asking questions, civilians demanding answers. Governments fracturing as some officials defended the Concordate, while others demanded investigation. The truth was spreading, and even the Collective could not suppress it all. Admiral Chen met Zaylen in the carrier's docking bay. She extended her hand in the ancient human gesture of greeting. Salen took it, marveling at the strength in her grip. "Welcome to the rebellion, Captain," Chen said. "The road ahead will be brutal. Many will die. The collective will not surrender their control without destroying everything they can. But for the first time in 3 million years, the enslaved species of this galaxy have a chance at freedom." Zalen looked back at his damaged ship and his exhausted crew. They had lost everything: their careers, their homes, their place in society. But they had gained something more valuable. They had gained the truth, and with it, purpose. "What happens now?" Zalen asked. "Now we fight," Chen replied simply. "We expose every lie, liberate every prison, and tear down the system that has kept us all in chains. We show the galaxy that the order they cherish is built on bones. We give every species the choice to stand with us or against us. The Concordat will mobilize against us. They will call us terrorists, anarchists, threats to civilization." "Let them," Chen said with a grim smile. "Humanity has been called worse. We survived 50,000 years of torture and emerged stronger. Let them come. Let the collective reveal itself fully. Once the galaxy sees the monsters behind the mask, once every species understands what the Concordat truly is, the real war will begin. Across the galaxy, on hundreds of worlds and thousands of ships, beings were waking up to a truth that had been hidden for millions of years. The comfortable order they had trusted was a lie. The peace they had enjoyed was purchased with the suffering of countless others. The choice before them was simple but terrible: accept the truth and fight for freedom, or cling to comfortable lies and remain complicit in atrocity. In the heart of Concordat space, the eternal collective convened for the first time in 10,000 years. They had not anticipated resistance on this scale. They had not expected humanity to survive, much less organize and return. They had grown complacent, confident in their control. That confidence was now shattered. The war that was coming would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. It would be a war not just of weapons and ships, but of ideas and truth. It would be a war for the very soul of civilization. And it had begun with one captain who chose to seek truth over obedience, who valued freedom over security, who understood that some lies are too terrible to ignore. The galaxy would never be the same. The deception that had sustained order for 3 million years was falling apart. What came next would be written in blood and fire, but it would be written by free beings making their own choices, facing their own consequences, building their own future. Humanity had returned. And they had brought the reckoning with them.